So I have a question for you. What do you do when you know that where you were doesn't quite fit you anymore, and yet moving into your next is so scary? You are frozen by fear. Everyone I know, any message that I've ever heard taught about moving while afraid, there comes this point. I've said it. Do it afraid. Do it anyway. Write the book anyway. Step into the role anyway. Dare to give your heart again anyway. Do it afraid if you have to. The only problem with saying things like this, and listen, I'm checking myself. This is not me coming for anyone else, is that we focus so much on the it. As if we write the book afraid, then that is what happens when our faith is renewed and restored. That if we give our heart away, even while afraid, that action is the thing that ends up restoring and renewing us. And yet the truth is that none of us actually take the time to process what doing it afraid taught us about ourselves and about faith. As a matter of fact, we do it afraid, and then we sign up for the next thing and we do it afraid. And then we come to this point where we're constantly saying, am I going to have to do everything afraid? Am I always going to be insecure? Am I always going to be wondering whether or not I have what it takes? This is what happens when we don't take the time to process what doing it afraid taught us the last time. This is exactly what happens to the children of Israel when they are moving from being confined and enslaved in Egypt into the freedom of the promised land. They end up coming to this place where they're like, you should have just left me restricted. Have you ever had a moment like that where you're like, God, I wish you just would have never exposed me to better. I wish this person would have never come into my life. I wish I wasn't hungry for more, because I end up feeling like I don't have what it takes to actually make the journey. And yet Moses says to them, and what I am saying to you thousands upon thousands of years later, is not just move anyway. But Moses says, these Egyptians you see today, you will see no more. But that's only if you keep your eyes open while doing it afraid. Because if you keep your eyes open, you'll see that you are more nimble than you thought. That you have the ability to learn, to grow, to twist and turn, to change and become, so that the next time you don't have to do it afraid. The next time you have the history of, no, I may not have ever written this book before. I may not have ever been in this relationship or in this position or in this ministry before, but I have been afraid before. And when I was afraid before, I rose to the occasion. I'm trying to tell you that God is giving you not just opportunity to do it afraid, but to recognize that faith is the substance of things hoped for. That means anything that you have in your life right now that you once hoped for, it is only in your life because you had the faith to believe that you could lay hold of it. So my challenge to you, friend, is to take inventory of the times that you did it afraid. Look at you now with your bad self. Maybe it didn't work out the way that you imagined, but boy, are you armed with lessons and wisdom to make sure that if I ever did it again, I would do it differently. That's the win. The win is never the thing. That's just like the bow. The actual gift, the actual present is underneath the wrapping paper that is called the circumstance. It is the gift of who you become in the process. So yeah, you get to do it afraid, but you also get to become in the process of doing it afraid. And that's where all the faith is.